Landlord tip and property investor tip. Reduce your rent to make more profit. I know that sounds really weird. It feels weird saying it, but let me explain this. And I'm going to give you three main reasons and ideas around why you should reduce your rent to make more profit. And I'm also at the end going to give you the actual strategy that you should adopt in doing all of this. So this will appeal to you, I think, if you've got a property on the market to let right now. And that doesn't matter whether you're using a letting agent to do that or whether you're doing it yourself. If you're doing all the viewings yourself, you're choosing your tenants yourself, one way or another, if you've got a property on the market, then this will definitely be right for you. If that property is on the market and it's not yet let, then reduce the rent by £25 a week until it's let. Why would you do that? And how is that going to make you more profit? Well, here are the three main reasons why you should reduce the rent in order to make more profit. Number one, don't lose money, bring money in. Now, it might feel like if you reduce your rent, you're going to lose money, but you're really not. Let me explain in actual numbers here. The average tenancy in the UK is about 4 years. That's across the board. If you reduce your rent by £25 until it's let, then think of it like this. The average rent in the UK right now is just under £900. It was £850 this time last year. Can you believe that? £50 it's gone up in a year across the board. And if you think there are parts of the northeast where the rent values are much lower, but the rent prices have gone up so much. Anyway, so the average rent in the UK is 900 quid. If your property is empty for 1 month, then that is a £900 loss. It hasn't cost you £900, it's lost you £900. Hopefully that makes sense. It just means you haven't received a potential £900 that you could have received. So if the property is empty for that full month, you're going to lose 900 quid on your investment. If you increase by £25 in year 2, then your total loss is £300. Let me just re-explain that. If you have a property on the market right now and you reduce the rent by 25 quid, then you can increase it by 25 quid in year 2. That means you're limiting your loss to £300 across that year. Make sense? £25 reduction over 12 months is £300. Now, what it means is that you're more likely to rent that property out faster. So you're less likely to lose that month's rent or have a property empty for a long period of time. So you can increase in year 2 by £25 and you minimize your loss to £300. If you reduce it by 50 quid at the beginning and then increase it, then your loss is £600. Am I making sense here? Let me know if you're following this. Just comment below if you're following this or give me a like just to let me know you're with me on this. What I'm basically saying is that if you reduce your rent by £25 for 1 year, then in that 1 year, you will lose 300 quid. If you reduce it by 50 quid for 1 year, you will lose 600 quid. If you reduce it by 75 quid for 1 year, you will lose 900 quid. But how does that compare with the amount you would lose by having an empty property? Because then you get to year 2. And now you're at the end of your initial fixed tenancy. Now you can increase the rent in year 2 by 25 quid. Now, remember what I said earlier, the average tenancy is 4 years. So if you've reduced by £25 for 1 year, you now have 3 years with the increase. So that 3 years at £25 increased is 900 quid. 3 years at £25 increase per month, 900 quid. If you increase it by 50 quid over the remaining 3 years, That's 1,800 quid. If you increase it by 75 quid over the remaining 3 years, that's 2,700 quid. Now, what I mean by all of this is think of it over a 4-year period. Now, again, this is an average tenancy. You work it out for your type of property. If you've got a 1-bed flat, the chances are your tenancy might be less. If you've got a 3-bed house, the chances are your tenancy is going to be longer. So it works out overall, and you just have to calculate it. But the point is, to get a tenant into that property, you just have to reduce the rent until it's let. Calculate what you're going to lose over that 12 months and then make it up in years 2, 3, and 4. Simple as that. But the rule has to be, don't lose money by having an empty property. Bring money in, get a tenant in there, renting it out as quickly as possible. And then from that, you can start making money again. The second reason why you should reduce rent to make more profit is a quote, actually. And I'm going to put this as a bit of a quote, coin it, and I'm going to mark it. Tom Soane said this: Mr. and Mrs. Property Investor and Mr. and Mrs. Landlord, you do not decide the market value. You only decide the positioning of your property on the market. Let me say it again. You do not decide the market value. You only decide the positioning of your property on the market. And this is vital to being a profitable landlord, a profitable property investor, a profitable investor landlord, actually a profitable anonymous landlord. Your job, Mr. and Mrs. Landlord, is to position that property accurately to generate attention. That's your sole job. It's not to rent it out. Your job is to advertise it, position it correctly so that you get maximum interest. It's the same for your letting agent. Your letting agent's job is to position that property correctly in order to gain maximum attention. And that includes the advertising rent price. It is an advertised price. It's not the value. You advertise it at a certain amount. That is the advertised rent price, not the value. You also have to allow your property to compete with similar properties on the market. If there are 10 3-bedroom houses on the market, all for 1,000 quid, then you are competing directly with those. So you have to position, or your letting agent has to position the property in order to make sure that yours is noticed, yours is generating interest and attention. Think of it from the tenant's point of view. If your tenant's budget is 900 quid a month, do a search on Rightmove. After this video, do a search on Rightmove and see what else they can get for their money. That's the question that a tenant will ask. What can I get for my money? So if you're pricing your property at the top of the market, then it's got to be the top property on the market. Remember that. If you're pricing it at the top of the market, it's got to be the top property on the market. And by the way, it's the same with sales. Is anybody trying to sell a property right now? Let me know if you're trying to sell a property. How's it going? How are you finding the market? The sales market in most parts of the UK is really healthy at the moment. Property goes on the market, sells straight away. Same with rental properties. If you advertise it at the right price, it's gone straight away. It's crazy. A very, very busy market. But yeah, it's the same with sales. What you're doing is you're positioning that property on the market in order to generate attention. And then the market will decide if it's worth it or not. And don't blame the estate agent, by the way, or the letting agent if no one wants to buy or rent your house at the price that you wanted it advertised at. It's not the agent's fault. Absolutely not. The agent's job, remember, is to position it at the right price in the right places to generate attention. Because the buying market, the tenant market, they decide if it's worth it or not you. And it's really annoying as well because you buy a property that you intend to use as an investment, you want to rent it out. You have a price in your mind. If it doesn't achieve that, it's very frustrating. You buy a property thinking, I want to rent this out for £1,000 a month. And then when you don't get £1,000 a month, it's really annoying because you build up your hopes to get £1,000 a month. But you have to remember the rule. And this is one of the oldest rules in property, is that the property is only worth what somebody is prepared to pay for it. Remember, the agent's not renting it and you're not renting it either. So when the market is going to rent it, they're the people that are going to pay you money to live in that property. So they will decide. Nobody else decides. Remember, the only thing that can be done by the agent and you is to decide where to position it to generate attention. If then you get viewings around that property and they don't want to take it for that price, then it's not worth it. It's nothing the agent's doing wrong. It's nothing you're doing wrong. It's just that's what the market says. And you cannot argue with the market. And here's a top tip. If your property is not renting out, it's too expensive. Simple as that. If it's not renting out, it's too expensive. Let me put a bit of flesh on that as well. If you think that your property is worth 900, but no one's renting it out, it's not. Doesn't matter if you think it's worth 900. Your job is to see if other people think it's worth 900. So you have to go with that rule, and it's tough. Don't get me wrong. And I sympathize with anybody that wants a bit, wanted to get £1,000 for that property, but they're not getting it. I sympathize. I've been there myself many times, in fact, that I've had to drop the rent just to get a tenant in. But an empty property is a very damaging thing for a property investor. So just remember, if it's not renting out, it's too expensive, especially in the current rental market. I promise you this, if your property is not rented out within a couple of weeks, or at least had a let agreed within a couple of weeks, it's definitely too expensive in the current market. And I don't mean this to sound rude to anybody, but it doesn't really matter what you think or what price you want. You are not renting it. The agent is not renting it. The agent can come out and value it. But again, all they're doing is taking an educated guess based on evidence to see where they could position it in the market to generate interest. That's what you've got to remember. It's madness, absolute madness, if you just leave it on the property market for the sake of £25 a month or even £50 a month. Absolute madness, because you have to remember you're only reducing it for 12 months. And don't argue with the market either. The market will always be right. The market will always tell you exactly how much your property is worth, whether you're renting it out or selling it. Doesn't matter. Think about it. If you were looking for a property to buy, you wouldn't overpay for a property. You wouldn't pay more than you believe you are prepared to pay for it. You just wouldn't. So it's no different when you're selling or whether you're renting. You have to allow the tenants that you want to buy to rent your property to decide if it's worth it or not. Simple as that. It does make me laugh when landlords demand a certain rent from the agent. Always makes me laugh, as if they think the agent's the one renting it. Interesting. I hope no one watching this at any point or anybody listening to this on my podcast thinks that, because I know that you're all not crazy mentalists. Anyway, so don't blame the agent. If the property isn't rented out yet, it's just too expensive. That's the only thing it is. Whether you think it's fairly or correctly priced or not, doesn't matter. It's just too expensive. Anyway, oh, by the way, I'm just going to add to this point, and letting agents and estate agents will hate me for saying this, but there are some agents out there that will overvalue your property just to win the listing. I know that comes as a bit of a shock. There are some. Now, look, most estate agents, most letting agents, they will value a property based on actual evidence of what has been let previously and historically. They will actually analyze definite evidence of the market to show you, and they will show you this evidence of what properties are let, what properties are sold, all of that sort of stuff, which will then show you exact evidence about how much your property should be worth. depending on the market at that time. Like, for an example, on the sale market, I shouldn't say this, but agents will definitely hate this. So it's really good content. But anyway, some agents will just chuck 20 grand onto the value because just to get you signed up, just to get you contracted and then on the market. And then they can reduce you. Some agents, and I won't mention any names here, but some agents have something called Price Reduction Tuesdays. It sounds really mental, but the target, they set their staff on the target to persuade all of their overpriced stock to reduce. The goal is, first of all, just get them signed up, get them on the market, get a board up. Then they will work on reducing your price. Anyway, I'm going to get some hate for that, but whatever. It's great content. So look, if the rule is, if it's not let, it's not worth it. Just remember that. And accept that. Don't argue with it. It's okay. It's fine. It just means that that's not the price that someone's willing to pay for that property this month. If you think it's worth it, if you think it's worth more, rent it yourself. Anyway, the third reason why reducing the rent will make you more profit is because some profit is better than no profit, but no profit is better than losing money. Some profit is better than no profit, but no profit is better than losing money. Think of this as an investment because that's exactly what it is. It doesn't matter whether you think of yourself as, I don't know, an accidental landlord or something like that, or an incidental landlord. Some incidents have taken place and caused you to be a landlord, or you've accidentally become a landlord. I don't think you can accidentally become a landlord. At some point, maybe you've moved in with your partner, but kept the property you moved out of. Or maybe you just moved into another house and you didn't need to sell the one you moved out of. Or maybe you've inherited a property, something like that. They are all investments because and you are an investor. You are an investor because at some point in that journey, you made an investment decision to keep that property and rent it out. Now, it doesn't matter how you came to that property or how you came across that property. At some point, you watching this have made an investment decision to keep a property and rent it out, or to buy a property and rent it out at some point, or you're making the decision now that you want to buy a property to rent out. And by the way, perfect opportunity to say, if you are looking for an investment property or you want an investment property, get in contact with me. As you all know, I am a property broker, which means I get offered off-market, below market value properties every single day. So if you want a property like that, just contact me. I will connect you up with the sourcing agents that are sourcing the properties. I'll connect you up with estate agents that are selling the properties off market, below market value. And well, that's it. That's all there is to say on that. Just connect me up. You don't pay me for that. I'll just connect you up with those people. Oh, I just did a David Brent there. Anyway, what do you think of the background, by the way? I just thought I'd change it up. I think that I'd probably have more of an office over here. Maybe I'd keep the piano as a nice decoration, but yeah, I just thought it was a nice looking lounge. Anyway, let me know what you think. But if you do want to get in touch with my property broking team, then by all means, just do so. Comment below, or you can message me through my Facebook page, or you can email me, tom@pinkstreet.co.uk, and I will do that. And I look forward to hearing from you on that. Anyway, so where was I? Yes, so you've made an investment decision at some point, which is brilliant. And it's a bit of a buzz as well, because now you have a property investment. It's awesome. But your goal number one, the goal number one has to be to make profit. It has to be. So goal number one, make profit. Backup number one is break even. So if you can't make profit, you have to break even. And the rule number one is don't lose money. So you've got goal number one, make profit. Backup number one, break even. Rule number one, don't lose money. That's investing. That is how you invest. And if you've got a property, whether you're an accidental landlord or not, that is what you must live by. And here's a top tip for landlords, or if you're going to get into property investing and you becoming a landlord at some point in the future, top tip, remember this: you don't have to make profit every single month for a property to be profitable. You don't have to make profit. You don't have to make profit every single month for a property to be profitable. I know so many landlords that stress and sweat if 1 month they've had to pay out for a boiler to be fixed, or they've had to pay out for a gas safety inspection or an EICR, and they stress and they get irritated because they rely on that income. But you have to think of it as an investment, an overall investment. Even if it's just a 12-month investment, you may not make the same amount of profit every single month. But if you look at it over 12 months and it makes profit, box ticked. That is an investment. It's a return on investment. It's profitable. But there's more to it than that. And I'm going to very quickly tell you about true yield. Everybody should be working out their true yield. If you've bought a property and you've invested £50,000 of your own cash in that property, and it only breaks even on rent, but it grows in value by £10,000 a year, well, your true yield is 20% per year, because you've got £50,000 invested and £10,000 coming back to you per year. It's still your cash. It's all your cash. It doesn't matter what account that cash is in. It's all your cash. Your current account, your savings account, your property equity account, your stock market account, your crypto account, they're all your accounts. It doesn't matter where your cash is or how it grows or where your cash is paid into. If you get a growth in the value of your property by £10,000, that is £10,000 in your equity account. If your stock market investments grow by £10,000, then that's £10,000 in your stock market account. If you get paid and you save up £10,000 this year, that's in your savings account. If you buy a load of cryptocurrency and it grows in value by £10,000, that's in your crypto account. They're all your accounts. It doesn't matter which account it's in. And that's why you should always try and build multiple accounts. And I have gone off on a tangent here. I appreciate that, but bear with me. So it doesn't matter what account it is. It's your account. It's your cash. The only difference between each of those accounts is the length of time it takes to withdraw your money. So for example, a current account or a savings account, generally they're instant. You can get your cash straight out at any time. Your cryptocurrency account may take 3 days for you to withdraw your money. Your stock market account might also take 3 days, might take 7 days to withdraw your money. Your property account or your equity account might take you 3 months to withdraw your money. But it's all cash that you can withdraw. It's all in your account. It's all cash that belongs to you. Doesn't matter where it is. So back to what I was talking about. Your job as a property investor and as a landlord is to focus on getting a tenant into the property so that they are paying rent. Reduce the rent by half if you have to, just to get a tenant in there. And remember, it's only for the first year. If you calculate your investment over 5 years or even just 4 years, you'll see where your profit is. It'll be a really interesting exercise, actually, to put into a spreadsheet your property investment and return on investment over 4 years for one tenancy. And let me know how much profit you will make on that property. Hey, do you know what? I love the interaction with people. When I ask these questions like that, I get loads of emails and messages of people just saying to me, hey, do these numbers look right? I love it. I love numbers. I love spreadsheets. I love looking at that side of business. It's really awesome. So if you want me to check on your numbers, hey, send them on over to me and I'll definitely give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Now, I can't give you tax advice. I can't give you investment advice. I can't give you financial advice. I am not qualified. This is just stuff that I do. And I'm just sharing it in a public forum. So that's the little waiver there. Anyway, where was I? So yeah, calculate your profit over the 4 years and see where your profit is and where it's coming from. And it'll also show you where you can improve it. But don't rely on that income. It's one of the worst mistakes I see landlords do is they rely on that income. They live their life by that income. And then as soon as they've got to pay out 250 quid for, I don't know, electrical work or something like that, they go crazy. They get panicky because they're thinking, oh, I can't afford that this month, this December. It's Christmas. I've got all the kids to buy for. I've got a holiday coming up next month. Oh, I'm not going to be able to afford this. So don't rely on the income. It's got to be truly passive profit, not passive income. That's rubbish. Whoever says passive income, and I used to say passive income because that was the term that you would say. Passive profit. It's got to be passive profit. A property has to make profit without you. That's passive profit. So no matter what, passive profit, it's your duty as a landlord to make profit. You have to make profit as a landlord because if you're not making profit, then you're putting your tenants at risk. Anyway, I promised you a strategy, and the strategy is so simple. Number one, focus on positioning your property for maximum attention. And that includes the rent price. It's got to be competitive. And that doesn't just mean it's got to be the highest price or equal to the highest price. It's got to be competitive. If you've got 10 properties on the market for £1,000, put yours on for 950, 975. I guarantee you're doing that, yours gets seen first because tenants will see £1,000 property and then go, oh, well, this one's very similar and it's £25 cheaper, £50 cheaper. Nice. I'll look at that one first. The condition of the property. Compare it against other properties that are similar to yours. If your property is not the best condition property on the market out of the ones that are similar to yours, you can't put it at the top price. Simple. Don't wing it. Don't guess and have a go. If it's not the top property, you can't charge the top price. And features as well. Compare it against the other properties. If you're going to match a price with a property that has parking and yours doesn't, or that property's got double glazing and yours hasn't, or that one's nice, got a newer kitchen and yours hasn't, then you can't compete with it on price. So your focus is to position the property for maximum attention. That's your focus. Number two, reduce the rent each week until it's let. You can increase it later. Reduce the rent every single week until it's let. I promise you, if you're not getting maximum interest in 1 week, it's too much. It's too expensive. Reduce it, increase it later. And keep doing that until it's let. It's painful. It's painful. I promise you it will be really annoying as well. But it's an investment. It's not your baby. It's not your nest egg. It's not your property. It's an investment. It's nothing more than a vehicle which is designed specifically to make profit. Nothing else. And if you treat it like that, then you will absolutely get the most out of that investment. So keep reducing it until it's let. And then when it's let, start working on it. That's it. Number three, give your letting agent permission to do that without you and be a real anonymous landlord. I'm an anonymous landlord, and anonymous landlords make profit. They make passive profit. Say to your letting agent, I would like £900, but reduce it by £25 a week until it's let. I promise you that will be a better route than trying to keep it at the top rent and keeping on arguing with the letting agent. Every time they say, right, it's not rented out, I think we should reduce it. They're not trying to do you out of money. They're not trying to rip you off. They're trying to get it let. And that should be your goal as well. So don't argue, don't spend your time arguing with the agent when they say, look, I think we need to drop it by 25 quid. It's not about losing 25 quid. It's about making profit over the whole tenancy. And number four, use my letting agency. Now, I know I've just talked about reducing rent, right? Which is a bit of a difficult thing for a letting agent to talk about. And as you know, I have a chain of letting agents in and around the Portsmouth and surrounding areas. So it's a really awkward topic for me to make sure that I'm giving other landlords definite value and advice and tips and strategies. That's what my goal is. And it's very difficult for me to do that as a letting agent and talk about reducing rent. So hopefully you'll see that actually reducing rent is logical in the right situations, and you should always do it in the right situations. So with that, I hope all of this will encourage you to at least consider using my letting agent to find your next tenant. And like I say, that's in Portsmouth and surrounding areas. If you are in a different part of the UK, then I know quite a lot of good, reliable letting agents in most parts of the UK. So I'm happy to just connect you up with a letting agent that I know personally. You don't pay me for that. You just make sure you get that property rented out. But I'd also say follow this advice. Go back through it if you need to and have a listen again. I know in some cases it's a bit of a mindset shift, but it's well worth it. It's an investment, and you should make sure that your investment is generating profit over the entire course of that time of your investment. Anyway, good luck with that. I will speak to you all soon. Take care, everybody. Good.